Once upon a time, in a small, quiet village nestled between rolling hills, there lived a young girl named Elara. She was just like any other girl in the village, simple, kind-hearted, and a bit curious about the world beyond the familiar past. She spent her days helping her parents in their little bakery and playing with the other children by the village's stream. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, Elara was sitting in her room reading a book. The only sound in the room was the soft rustling of pages and the occasional creak of the old wooden floorboards. But suddenly she heard it, a strange, distant sound like the whisper of wind or the crackling of leaves. It came from her closet. At first, Elara thought it was just her imagination, but then it came again, louder this time. The sound was unmistakable. With her heart racing, Elara slowly rose from her chair and walked toward the closet. Her hand trembled as she reached for the door handle. She hesitated for a moment, wondering if she should just leave it alone. But her curiosity got the better of her. Taking a deep breath, she opened the door. To her astonishment, instead of the familiar clutter of clothes and shoes, there was a vast, enchanting forest behind the door. The trees were tall and their leaves shimmered with a silver glow. Vines with tiny, glowing flowers crept along the trunks, and the air smelled of jasmine and pine. Elara stepped back, her eyes wide with wonder. She blinked a few times, unsure if she was dreaming, but the forest remained, beckoning her. Without thinking, Elara stepped into the forest. The moment her foot touched the ground, she felt a strange warmth flood her body, as though she was being welcomed by the very earth itself. The trees whispered in a language she didn't understand, and the flowers seemed to nod their heads in greeting. She walked deeper into the forest, marveling at the beauty around her. The light seemed to dance through the leaves, casting a magical glow over everything. After a while, she stumbled upon a small clearing. In the center of the clearing stood a figure, a young woman wearing a flowing gown with a crown of delicate silver flowers on her head. The woman turned toward Elara and smiled warmly. "You're welcome," she said, her voice soft and melodious. "I've been waiting for you." Elara blinked, unsure of what to say. "Who are you?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. "I am Princess Seraphina," the woman replied. "And you, my dear, are exactly what this world needs." Before Elara could ask what she meant, the princess motioned for her to come closer. "Come, let me show you my home," she said. "There is so much to learn and time is short." Elara followed the princess through the forest, and after a short walk, they arrived at an enormous palace. The palace was built from marble and gold, its towers reaching toward the sky. The walls were adorned with intricate carvings, and the windows sparkled like diamonds in the sunlight. Once inside, the princess led Elara to a grand hall where servants bustled around, preparing for a grand feast. The air was filled with the aroma of delicious foods, and Elara felt a sense of wonder and excitement she had never experienced before. The princess spoke to her with kindness, teaching her the ways of the court, how to speak to nobles, and how to walk gracefully, as if she were born to be royalty. "You are to rule in my place for a time," Princess Seraphina told her. "I will be gone for 1 week, and during that time you shall wear a crown and take my place." Elara's heart leapt at the thought. "Me? A princess?" she asked, her voice trembling with disbelief. "But I don't know how to rule. I'm just a simple village girl." "You will learn," Seraphina assured her. "You have a good heart, and that is what matters most. The people will love you." And so Elara accepted the princess' offer. She put on the crown, and in that moment she felt a change within herself. Now she was no longer just Elara, the village girl. She was a princess with all the grace and dignity that came with the title. For the first few days, Elara reveled in the luxury and excitement of palace life. She dined on rich foods, wore fine clothes, and was adorned by the courtiers and servants alike. But soon she began to notice something strange. People and objects started to disappear. A plate would vanish from a table, or a servant would simply fade away into nothingness. The once vibrant palace started to feel emptier, as though it were slowly dissolving into thin air. Elara grew anxious. One evening, as she walked down a long hallway, she heard a voice behind her. "Your Highness, please," one of the servants whispered urgently. "You must leave. This place is fading, and there is nothing we can do to stop it." Elara didn't know what to do. She rushed to the door through which she had entered, hoping to find a way back to her own world. The door was still there, but now it was connected to a massive stone, as if the door itself had become part of the earth. She tried to open it, but it wouldn't budge. Panic set in as she realized that she couldn't return. Beside the door, she noticed the original princess crown, abandoned and lifeless. It was then that it hit her. Princess Seraphina had switched places with her, leaving her trapped in this magical realm, while the princess now lived in her world. Desperate, Elara sought out the wizard who resided in the palace. She found him in a dark hidden chamber filled with ancient books and scrolls. After explaining her predicament, the wizard gave her the grim news. "The world you are in is cursed," he said gravely. "It is slowly fading away, and soon it will be no more." Elara felt a lump form in her throat. She had to find a way to save the kingdom, but the wizard shook his head. "There is no way to save it," he said. "The only choice is for you to find another girl who will take your place, just as Seraphina did with you. But it must be voluntary. If you force it, the magic will fail." Elara could not bring herself to deceive someone else, to trick another girl into taking her place. It felt wrong, like a betrayal. "I can't do that," she said softly. "I won't." And so, with a heavy heart, Elara made her decision. She would accept her fate, whatever it might be. The people of the palace, the servants who had become like family to her, were slowly vanishing. But she could not bear to abandon them. She would stay with them, fading away with the kingdom. 1 week passed, and the palace was almost entirely gone. Only a single chair remained, sitting in the center of the empty hall. Elara sat down, her heart heavy with sorrow, as the world around her continued to vanish. She closed her eyes, preparing to fade into nothingness. But then something miraculous happened. The moment she sat down, everything stopped. The world around her returned. The palace, the servants, the beautiful forest, it all reappeared, as though the fading had never happened. Then a tiny fairy appeared before her, her wings fluttering like delicate butterflies. "You've done it," the fairy said, her voice filled with admiration. "You broke the curse." Elara blinked in confusion. How? The curse could only be broken by a princess who was brave enough to accept her fate. The fairy explained. A princess who would not switch places to save herself, but would face her own disappearance without fear. "You have shown that bravery, Elara." Elara asked why this place was cursed. The fairy said 2 years ago, the princess was treating the people with such cruelty and selfishness that we, the fairies, were upset by it. We decided to talk to her, but she kicked us out of the castle. So we cursed her, and the curse was that within 2 years, she and her entire kingdom would perish. The only way to lift the curse was exactly what you did. You are the first princess who has treated the people so kindly. The fairy smiled and held out her hand. "Because of your kindness, I will grant you 1 wish, anything you desire." Elara thought for a moment. Torn between 2 desires, she missed her family terribly, but she had grown to love the kingdom and the people here too. Also, she couldn't leave them. Finally, she made her wish. "I wish that the original princess, Serafina, will have a kind heart and bring happiness to my family," Elara said, "and that I may remain here in this kingdom, living among the kind people who helped me." The fairy nodded. "Your wish is granted." She waved her hand, and in an instant the curse was lifted. Princess Serafina, now filled with compassion, she lived with Elara's family, bringing them joy and happiness. As for Elara, she remained in the magical realm, where she ruled with kindness and grace, surrounded by the friends and people she had come to love. And so Elara lived out her days as a true princess, not just by title, but by heart, ensuring that the kingdom remained a place of love and warmth, where magic and kindness flourished forevermore. And the end of our today's fairy tale. Thank you everyone for watching this video. Please don't forget to like and subscribe my channel. See you next time everyone. Bye bye.